Welcome to part 28 of our run through Hollow Knight Silksong. We were so confident that we would get it done in 27, but here's what happened in the previous stream. We got up to 100% collection, minus various things that don't count towards 100%, namely that we know we are at minimum missing 2 memory lockets to fill in the 5 remaining upgrade spots, so that's something we'll look into at some point. We're also missing a few entries in the Hunter's Journal, almost certainly things that we have in fact encountered and just failed to kill at some point. And we are indeed hoping that we'll have some kind of run today, although it's clear that we'll need to make a bit of reconfiguration, I think, just to try a couple of different things while we're going back into this fresh, because as those bearing witness are well aware, what happened yesterday was that we got into the 100% final bosses, so it seems we seem to be doing well, getting into phase 3 of the fight within the first hour or so, and starting to get into a little bit more reliably, only to crash against that fight for the next 3 hours. So that did not work quite as well as it should have, and we should probably at least experiment with a few minor adjustments. Just answer a few questions that have come up in the chat already. Descriptivist was asking about the Paper Mario scene in our pre-stream introduction card. That is concept art from the Origami King, and it is concept art for a particular scene in the Origami King, which is kind of like a West Side Story sequence. And it's one of the post-game gallery unlockables. We rotated that into our introductory card a couple of years ago, and I never thought to change it. So, yeah, welcome, Descriptivist 06i, back immediately from the ordeal in the previous broadcast. So currently we're sitting on 0 rosaries because we have a cocoon waiting for us down below once we get down to Lost Lace. For the moment, let's think about a few things. Now, first of all, despite having upgraded the Curved Claw to the Curved Sickle in the previous stream while doing our 100% sweep, we didn't really manage to get much use out of this in the fight itself, usually because we're trying to stay far enough away from Lace while we are dodging about and trying not to run into her teleport. And so I've been thinking about changing this out to Throwing Ring so we have a straight shot with plenty of ammunition. The other kind of straight shot that we can do would be something like the Clockwork Wheel, but it does have a bit of a lengthier travel time and is, I think, better for slower enemies. So we'll do that. Now, we had been using Longclaw as a bit of a crutch. Between these 3 on blue, Multibinder, Longclaw, Injector Band, is very difficult to sacrifice any one of them because we're depending a bit on still being able to swipe away at Lace when we're a little far or inaccurately positioned. We might have to practice a little bit without the Longclaw to see how we do, while still staying on Reaper. And so to that end, knowing that just having enough silk for heals has been a problem, particularly once you get into phase 3, we're going to put in the upgraded Druid's Eyes in there instead. We'll see if it works out. If I'm whiffing most attacks and just not able to make contact, we might put Longclaw back on and change out maybe even Multibinder, because then we have the idea here being quick heals with lots of replenishment, with the expectation that we are going to take a lot of damage in this fight, which is when the Druid's Eyes should come in handy. Silksong, you're saying there was a previous broadcast? Yeah, the one yesterday, the one that went on way too long. That's what I meant, not one today. For whichever definition of today works best for your time zone. So, I think we keep everything else here. Anklets, dice, and weighted belt. I was considering this because obviously there is a bit in phase 3 where if you're up against a wall and if you have that upward burst of void coming up towards you, that's the one circumstance where I felt I was kind of missing having the Ascendant's Grip for the wall cling. But the concern with switching to it now is that it does tend to throw off muscle memory a bit when we are actually trying to get off the wall. That's something I'll consider, because for the phase 3 pattern in particular, there are times when being forced to move when I'm against a wall has created some difficult situations. So we'll keep an eye on that. We've been so accustomed to playing without the knockback that I don't know how well we'd adjust anyway if I took the weighted belt off. So we'll probably stay on Silk Spear, although mainly we're not really using the central Silk attack, which raises the question of why I'm not playing Architect. But I guess we like to downward swipe on Reaper. If we're really not using the central attack, maybe we should be switching to Architect, but I find with Reaper, at least we're getting the Silk replenishment that is so critical to just get more heals down, because again, we're going to take hits. By the time we get to phase 3, we just need to make sure we outpace those hits with enough healing, and hopefully with accurate healing. Because definitely we're feeling the loss of the warding bell on certain attempts when a blown heal blows the entire attempt. So, with that very lengthy preamble out of the way, let's see how we do, and hopefully we're not here for another 4 hours. But I'm assuming, as usual, that we need to shake out a little bit of warm-up first. So let's see how it goes. We got a pretty good understanding of the phase 1 movement yesterday. I was playing inaccurately into it, but there's nothing about that phase that we don't know, really. So we'll just try to get some good habits back. Get our sense of the rhythm of the fight again, and just try to get clean phase 1 and 2 as much as we can. And get a sense of how much we're getting off the Druid's Eye. Wow, look at that. Yeah. So, definitely feeling the shortened range a little bit, but yeah, we're getting a little bit too close, as you can see. So let's just heal up quickly here. Okay, still getting some silk down. Oh, nope, watch out for that. Yeah, we're still able to hit at least. Maybe not quite as accurately. Whoop. That's what we were doing before, but the upgraded Druid's Eye is really quite good for replenishment, so... Okay, but we know after the dash pattern that after the second dash we need to give her plenty of room. Because I can't always predict what attack she's going to make, so plenty of room. And whenever she comes down, she doesn't target my position, so we have to move. So the thing is, we're getting hit a lot, but we're getting lots of healing, so I think the Druid's Eye idea is working out. The issue mainly is how comfortable do we play this without Longclaw. Particularly in phase 2, where she's darting all over the place. I mean, her movement fundamentally is kind of the same throughout, it's just that she starts casting the projectile attacks, and that is liable to throw us off, because what happens is that we try to dodge her, and then we dodge into the teleports, which we don't really have a systematic way of dealing with just yet, so... Yeah, we know that whenever she parries, she's going to go into one of the 2 counterattacks, either the downward diagonal or the straight thrust. So we know to at least expect that, taking way too many hits. One of the problems with phase 2 is that jumping up high isn't necessarily a safe place to heal anymore. Yeah, still getting more better. It has been a slow phase 1, but it's surprisingly a safe one. And yeah, definitely feeling some of the silk replenishments. Okay, that didn't go so well. Phase 2, here we go. Yeah, we tend to play a little too close anyway. So, with or without the silk shot. Saved by the dice. That was lucky more than anything. Our position there. Oh, nope, I'm caught, and there goes the heal. Okay, let's try to get up into enough silk. Nope. Okay, just need to get out. One more tap will do it. Let's just get out. Yeah, we're much more stable. Like, if we're staying alive, then, you know, we can just try to outlast the fight. It's just a matter of getting enough silk back per cycle before we take too much damage. This will be critical. We have 2 masks and not enough silk. Nope. Couldn't quite do it. We'll stay on a bit of this to see if we can get it to work. Obviously, we're getting less hits in than we would with the Long Claw, but is it very much less? I'm not really sure. Definitely the Druid's Eye feels like a big improvement in terms of self-sustain. But of course, the longer you draw things out, the more you have to dodge anyway, and so the mistakes can start to outpace you a little bit, as they did in Phase 2 of that fight. So, let's give this another go. So it won't be a one-shot today, unfortunately, but... Nope, nope. Okay. We'll heal up whenever we can. This will get us a lot of silk back if we're accurate about it. Good thing she didn't do the upward attack that time because I was not prepared. See if she goes up. Nope, she doesn't. That's okay. And we don't want to stay above her too much because even as her first attack in a sequence, the upward attack can catch us off guard. That's often what we were losing to. Okay, parried that almost very luckily, actually. Yeah, tricking and parry at least gives us something predictable to work with, so I actually don't even mind it that much. Is she jumping? Nope. Okay, now phase 2. Okay, she's going to stay down. Okay, this is getting dangerous. Got out just in time. That was getting a little dangerous there, too. Get out. Yeah, we don't want to be too far off screen whenever we dodge projectiles because that's when we get into teleport risk where we just don't see her position or when she's disappearing. Okay, dodge, dodge, dodge. We had issues in Phase 3 yesterday with her dropping directly on top of me after dodging projectile attacks. Okay, let's get out of that. This felt surprisingly stable. Whoop. Yeah, that's exactly the issue, was that dodging under her created a situation where she would drop on top. Yeah, I think we can probably do this without Long Claw, actually. We're hitting enough for this to matter, so... We're actually at full. Doing pretty well on silk. Whoop. Not anymore. Okay, so not a bad position, particularly considering our bank of silk going into the wave phase. Now, in our late attempts yesterday, we actually blew a few attempts just by not staying very cautious with getting out of the waves. We should generally stay on one side to dodge both. Easier to see, easier to time. Let's get traps down. Yeah, don't really have a good spacing for the throwing ring worked out yet. This can get chaotic really quickly, so... Nope. I just got smacked by that. Just smacked by that. That's okay, we still have heals. But we need to get out of projectiles first before you can try anything like that. Waves. Again, we should stay on one side. There we go. Okay, stay away. Oh, nope. Just didn't see that little pool that appeared down below. One or two more hits should get me more silk. Good. Nope. Got a little distracted by trying to lay traps there. We could be a little more cautious. Oh, and the waves do clear the traps, I think. They do clear attacks from the floor, as far as I could observe yesterday. Got a little trap there. Got really trapped there. We need silk, and we need it now. Nope, we got the silk, but she jumped up against me. I was just about to get a heal. We got the last tap that we needed. Also, let's replenish shell shards. This is a pretty good indicator, by the way, of how many phase 3 attempts we've been putting in, because we eventually got down to the point where, well, I started with this bank of 20 that we bought up in the previous stream, and we were doing pretty well with a couple of 100 shards, but then we got to the point eventually where if I get to phase 3, I dump traps all over the place, and then we need to pop a bundle to replenish that much, and it shows you that we've already put in, conservatively, probably at least a dozen attempts that went deep enough into phase 3 for traps to matter. We should not drop traps too much unless it's safe, though. And by safe, I mean probably only after waves come out and not in the middle of the phase. That was a bit of a problem that time. But in terms of survivability in phase 3, the Druid's Eye is a massive improvement. And I think it's absolutely a keeper. Dash. Is she going up or down? There we go. Parry. That's okay. We can read that. She's pretty vulnerable after the diagonal downward thrust in this phase. In the other phases, she kind of teleports out immediately, and it's not quite so good. But in fact, she just demonstrated a teleport just now, so. Okay, just need to be aware when she's off screen, she's going to come back pretty much anywhere, and yeah, at least if she's someone on screen, if she ports, I can see that she's porting, and so we actually don't want to go too far off camera from her, even when we are dodging. That's been a pretty bad habit of ours, particularly with the projectiles in phase 2. Phase 2. Okay, pretty clean phase 1, all things considered. Whoa. We should find a healing opportunity soon. Oh, would have liked to get a bit more silk back from that before it took damage, but okay. Have to watch the floor. Everything's pretty shadowy, and you do need to watch the silhouettes with some degree of precision. Okay. We've been dodging alright in this phase at least. I haven't been hitting her very much, but we've been able to play defense better than usual. At least I thought I was, and then we just hit this little rough patch here. Oh, was trying to downward thrust into that one. We just missed. We do have enough silk for the next heal though, so... Luckily she just missed with that attack. Let's not get too close to the wall. That's when you can get stuffed by the spinning grenade projectiles, essentially. If they can be really called grenades, but... the spinning traps. Oh. Yeah, I've been missing too many attacks here. Okay, now we're in a bit more trouble. Yeah, getting in too close. Not as clean last time, but if we can stabilize by the time we get into phase 3, well, alright, somewhat. Yeah, not nearly as good a situation. We're down by quite a few masses this time. And not yet up on a heal in terms of silk. But if we can just get a couple of taps in cleanly and, you know, bank up the next heal again. Going into this segment, then maybe we'll be okay. Yeah, when we see the diagonal like that on the throwing rings, it means it did make contact. Oh. Almost with the heal there. And unfortunately we did get hit right away going into that one, and so we're really down to silk now. Okay, I can watch the floor. Okay. Actually watch some of that carefully this time. Oh, stood too close to her. We can get a heal before she throws projectiles everywhere. Wrong way on the throwing rings. Left side wave. Oh, it's too close. No. Those are really quite difficult to dodge. Okay, one more hit and we're dead, pretty much. Yeah, I was trying to stabilize by tapping the door there, but the upward attack got us, so... Again, not as bad going into phase 3 as it could be. We're obviously massively overspending shards. But again, we've got so many rosaries that we can always get out and buy more if we really do exhaust the supply. But I do think that dumping tax everywhere between waves is going to be worthwhile. We might not want to go quite so aggressively with them in case some of them are wasted from the waves clearing the floor, as they appear to be doing. But as long as we have enough to push through to fight. We're not saving them for anything else after this, I don't think. Okay. Again, last time was sloppier than the better attempt we had going into phase 3 earlier, so we definitely have some room for improvement. Oh, watch out. I thought she was going to jump, and we didn't stay far enough. After the second dash, we just generally have to stay really far away. Because any attack she makes in that position is likely to be a problem. Yeah, jump, and then get out. Nope, got caught. Let's heal up as soon as I'm able to. Oh, stood too close. There's an audio cue that we should be listening for when it comes to the upward attack, but generally I'm not responding quickly enough to deal with it either way, so. Now at this point she's close to phase 2, so we'll try to get some silk replenishment at the phase transition, but we'll miss it. Okay, there we go, phase transition. Is it too close? Oh, nope, falling apart a bit. Right above her for that attack. That's actually not the worst position to be in, but short on silk, unfortunately. I'm not able to hit her very much this time around. Are we stabilizing? Almost. Maybe another heal if we don't take too much damage in the interim and get us back into a more playable position. Don't get stuff in the wall for this attack. Oh. Okay. Nope. Got zoned out in that position that time. Okay, good. We can get a heal in. Phase 3, full health. First wave is always left side first, I'm pretty sure, from all of my experience with this fight so far. Okay, let's not go too heavy on tools unless we know we're doing it safely. We actually get caught by the floor quite a bit here, like the blood appearing on the floor. And that's something we absolutely have to watch out for. Oh, missed on the downwards thrust. We were pretty close to getting her that time. Yeah, it's when she casts from midair that I'm a little concerned about her dropping on top of me while I'm trying to dodge. So we need to watch the midair cast. We don't go below her if we can avoid it. Nope, got caught a little bit that time. Whoa, that's new. New phase. New phase of attacks. We hadn't seen them before. So this is the first we've been. We had never seen that radial attack. That was a bit of a clutch grapple getting out of that. No. Yikes. Nope. Okay, have to dodge projectiles first. Then we get the heal. Watch out. We still have a little left in terms of attacks. Good healing opportunity. We should take it. She's just going to stomp me here. We have no silk and 2 masks. So next time she jumps me, we're pretty much dead. Nope, got caught right on the edge. Right on the edge of that circle. So you're saying this was the run for sure? Well, not quite, but that was the best we have done. Paxman, welcome. Paxman, you told me a few weeks ago that you already hit 100%, so. 06i, you said even a dice couldn't save the 3 damage attack. I don't think I even realized it did 3 damage, or that we activated a dice. I was too busy dodging. Anyway, we're making progress with the current setup. At that time, we had full health going into 3, I think. And so, could be worse. Definitely without the long claws of crutch. I'm getting in a little bit too close sometimes on the swipes. But at least we know what we're in for, that we're kind of in a phase 4 effectively, or maybe a 3.5, I guess, at that point, given that as the waves come out, yeah, it's phase 4 essentially. Like, phase 3 would be you have the phase 2 attacks with lots of visual noise and the waves from side to side. I guess it's technically a phase 4 that you start having the radial attack. It seemed like we were awfully close though. But we just got worn down by the end. Whoop. Bad start, but we recovered from a pretty bad phase 2 that time too. So, ugh, yikes. Okay, let's get out. Nope, dropped in at exactly the wrong time. She's gonna jump. Jump and spray. Okay. Okay, just barely got out of that. Let's see if she jumps. No, doesn't. Oop, stood too close. Okay, what's she gonna do? Good. With silk replenishment off of this. That's better than we usually get. Phase 2. Oh, couldn't quite reach. Gotta heal up. Jump, and then spray. Dodge. Dodge. Nope, got caught. Stood too close again before I swiped. Just a bit late on the attack sometimes. I need more silk. See if she jumps. Jump. There we go. Nope, missed it. we could have used that silk from landing a hit, but... Okay. Projectile dodging has been a little better than usual, at least. She's gonna come up here, dodge. Oh, gotta watch the ground. Oh, stood too close. Once again. Being a little too aggressive into her there. Oh, no, I was trying to get out of that and we just failed to do so. Nope, stood too close. Okay. Playable going into phase 3. Yeah, last time, of course, with phase 4, there was a bit of that initial adjustment of seeing it for the first time. Trying to understand when the waves were coming in, also just figuring out some of the movement of the circles, which, you know, might be dependent on a bit of a clutch harpoon sometimes. I think we still go tax in this phase, though. I want to get through it. Okay, dodge. Without going too far. Nope. Wow, close one. Very close one. Pretty successful pass through this so far, though. Except we can't quite see her movement at the same time as dodging everything else, and that's a resistant problem here. Okay. Get it out. Wait for the wave. Okay, here we go. Phase 4. Watch out for her stomp there. She seems to leave quite a lot on the ground at the end of that. Oh, got hit. Wow, that sideways wave attack that's kind of surfing over. That's new. Now we have a lot of silk. We just need to find an opportunity. Okay. Going too aggressive now. Need some safety. Nothing more than anything there. Full in this position, but not much silk to work with. Maybe it did not fall apart. Oh. Okay, good thing we have the Druid's Eye, because we do need to dodge this before we heal them. Nope, stood too close. I was trying to land safely between those circles. We didn't get it. Haven't really been able to hit lately. I haven't had an opportunity for the throwing rings yet either, which has been a bit of an issue. Okay. Yeah, she does tend to follow up with a stomp on the circle attack. Okay. No, that was a bit of an issue that time. Yeah, Druid's Eye has absolutely been rescuing this. Rare tap that actually landed. Nope, got comboed a little bit there. Dice actually did help. There we go, throwing ring for the win again. The clutch throwing ring that has saved us on so many occasions, on so many fights. This time we didn't die at the same time like we did with Carmelita. Is this an escape sequence? Or do we get to find something? Well, Lace is here. Do we get to find, or are we recovering her, or what's going on? We're going to take something from her. Now we decide if this is going to be the true ending, or if we... Hey, you know what? Let's play Needle in a bit. I just want to see if there's an interaction. I mean, I guess nobody's really talking to me at this point. Alright, I guess not. Alright, Lace. Now this is the Metro 2 ending where we have to escort her all the way back up to the top. Isn't that true? Oh, we got a super jump. Is this time sensitive? Hope not. Come on. I have to hold all the way into this. Yeah, I'm not actually allowed to let go. I think I just hold the input until the cutscene plays out. Right? Or not. I guess we'll let go. Yeah, and we'll pull her all the way out. And I guess we do get to play as Lace in Hollow Knight 3 Silksong. It's so emblematic of my run through this game that I won that with the throwing ring. Alright, Everbloom. We don't get to hang on to the Everbloom. I guess we're too busy hanging on to Lace. Oh, interesting. I have to take a moment to work that out in our heads. With Hornet's Weaver and Higher Being lineage and all. I think she needs a break back at the spa in the Bell home, but let's see what happens here when she wakes. Are we going to get another laugh out of Lace? I guess we did. Silently. Sister of the Void. Complete. So we're going to have a little sequence over here. Up on the surface. Mr. Mushroom! I knew there was a reason we finished that quest. To be continued. Passing of the age. So, okay, so yeah, because you do need to have Mr. Mushroom witness the final step in order to have that properly conclude. I didn't know there was an achievement for that. Because I guess we had filled in everything but the last line of the quest, and then that's what gave us the wish fulfilled, but you don't actually see the completion of that sequence until here. So that's great. That's wonderful. I'm glad we saw that little tease over there. And a very different credit sequence that we see this time. So, DLC where we play as Lace or a DLC where we play as Mr. Mushroom? I don't know. He witnessed the passing of the age. He's launching somewhere much higher, maybe up to where the higher beings could be in a very literal sense. Anyway, the credits, given the smaller size of this team, tend to be short every single time, so I don't know that we'll get to say very much. I think, yeah, we have a bit of a lengthier credit roll this time, a more continuous one rather than just card after card. And indeed, as I suspected, is Matthew Trobiani as Trobio. We were talking about this when we saw that name in the credits on previous passes through here. And of course we get the orchestra credit, always one of my favorite parts to observe in a game. Very heavy on strings in the score, as we might expect, especially with any motif involving Lace. So the playtime here, the in-game log time, is going to wind up at about 125 hours. We'll see exactly what it is when we get to it. Including menu time, I think we wound up at about, I don't know, 140-ish. I'm not exactly sure how it's timed, but that's the inkling that we have. Yeah, descriptive, as you were saying, 6 playtesters credited in here. Well, they're good at dodging. Through the darkness and dangers, you persevere. Thank you for exploring the world of Hollow Knight Silksong. Let's meet again on the road ahead. Same message we had previously. I wonder if we get a new background, but regardless, we're going to have the 100% completion screen at 124 hours. A little bit off the 30-hour achievement that is very visible in the list, but we got it. Alright, so now what do we do with our lives? Well, let me just screenshot our completion file first of all. So yeah, it looks like it gives you a point of no return save at the Abyss, but it gives you the picture of the Hornet mask now, marking the full completion. How's my Hunter's Journal? I am missing 6 slots on it. We might actually, since we have managed to accomplish this pretty early in the stream, we could fill out some of the things that we are missing. Memory lockets, Hunter's Journal, possibly mementos, I don't know. I mean, this was a pretty good finish today, actually. I was crashing against this for so long yesterday. Why didn't we just switch to the Druid's Eyes much earlier? And yeah, achievement list over here. We can just kind of see that we done all this previously. Yeah, we don't have the Hunter's Memento, which is clearly one of the mementos for what we have. And then, yeah, obviously no Steel Soul achievements for us just yet. One hidden achievement over here. Oh, I think I actually do know what that is. And it was something I was thinking about too when we were getting the Witch Crest. I did hear afterwards that there is a separate ending for if you complete the cradle fight with Grandmother Silk while you are infested, because obviously you can't use the Silk to bind at that point. I don't know if that's something realistic for me to do, even if we did rewind back to a save in Act 2 or something without a great deal of preparation, because obviously if you don't have bind available, you're not going to heal in that fight. You have to actually dodge pretty much perfectly. I am pretty sure that's the missing achievement. But the lovely thing is that we did get Passing of the Age, which is kind of nice to have. Let's get into the post-game file to see how it looks. I will probably still keep this a relatively short stream today. And again, at the end of the 100% run, we at that point started looking up a bit of external information to get the last two pieces of craft metal. And also, let's see if Lost Lace is in the journal. That's kind of important. Yeah, 229 out of 235. So I think she was actually a secret unlisted entry then, because the total number increased to 235. We had 234 previously. And I know that I'm at the very least missing the bonus entry for the friendly duel with Garmon and Zaza, since we never saw that fight. And I learned afterwards that it does exist. Yeah, we're missing a couple of slots here, and here's Lost Lace. To quell the mother's rage and see this kingdom saved, I will claim her back. This one the dark shall not take. So it's interesting that the tense here is reverting back to the time before the fight itself. Okay, so I might actually have to pull up a list or something. Let's see what we're missing here. Yeah, we're missing 6 spots. And after Chardrillard, we got 2 spots here. Don't know what those are. Let's go back up to the top. I missed something else. Okay, so here's what we're missing. We're missing the one after Crawfather. I'm going to pull up my notepad file. I have a text file that I had for this. So we're missing the one after Crawfather. And of course there's also the completed count for just tapping away at bugs and slicing away at them all day. I don't know if we'll necessarily grind that out on stream, you know, just killing things repeatedly doesn't seem that interesting, but I highly suspect that we encountered all of the relevant enemies, probably, and we just never took some of them out properly, as opposed to evading them. So after Penitent, we have one. This is clearly something that's going to be in a slab, given the placement here, so. And then we have 2 that are after Garpid. And I think that's all 6 entries. 1 after Crawfather, 2 after Chardrillard, 1 after Penitent, 2 after Garpid. Mementos, yes, Paxman, I'll actually show you. We're missing 3 mementos. One of them is the Hunter's Memento. And I did get all relics. I'm going to go back to the Bell Home. Actually, you know what? Can the Beastlings come all the way to the Abyss? I want to see. I think the answer is no. In that case, the first thing I want to check before we get out too far here is if on the way out we have something. So Garpid was actually up on the climb up to the cradle. But otherwise, a lot of this is Act 3 void stuff. Yeah, I mean, if the Beastlings could come down to the Abyss, why didn't the Bell Beasts just take us down to the Abyss in the first place, right? So I guess that doesn't really make a great deal of sense. So yeah, for the remaining completion, I think we'll unfortunately have to spoil ourselves. But I'm going to see if I can pull something up here. I need to find the one for Silksong, not for Hollow Knight. Just be a moment here while I try to scroll for it. Hunter's Journal for Silksong. Okay, so I just want to scroll down here just in case it's something in the Abyss, which might fit, although I think the Abyss had other enemies that were... Yeah, these are Abyss enemies, so it may very well be here. And... Okay, so we're missing... MOBA and Skrill. What are those? Oh, this is... Okay, so it's actually on the Cradle Climb, rather, after the Garpit, that we skipped over these ones while we were doing the Cradle Climb because we didn't take the time to actually destroy enemies on the way. So yeah, that makes sense because it's after Garpit, and Garpit we knew was on the Cradle Climb. So the Cradle Climb will be one spot to check. Next, let's go back up to the Penitence. That's got to be in the slab. So let's check this. Puny Penitent is what we're missing. And yeah, that's one of the slab enemies, so we'll just need to find one of those and see what we missed. So yeah, I got all of the mementos that I could find off of some of the optional bosses, as well as the Cradle Climb, of course. Now, as far as up here goes, I wonder what zone this would technically be in. It must be Shellwood, if we had to guess. Although, well, some of these are all over Farloom, so it might not be the case. This is Sandcarver and Squirm. This must be over in the Blasted Lands, maybe? Let's see. Or... yeah, these are the sandworms in the Blasted Lands. I guess we never thought about tapping them as a distinct enemy from the one in the Wormways. And these ones are also Blasted Steps. So both of them are Blasted Steps. Exactly where, we don't really know. And then we have the one that was after Crawfather. Let's check it. This is a Muck Maggot. You can destroy the maggots? Or am I thinking about something else? You would need to find some way to maybe damage the maggots in water from range. No wonder I never got this, in spite of how much time we spent mucking around with the maggots. Interesting. Well, okay, that'll be something to look at then. Okay, so in terms of anything else we're missing, like I said, we're missing 2 memory lockets. That might be worth a look. And yeah, the problem, of course, as we discovered with looking up things like the final pieces of craft metal, is that it's very difficult to keep track of which locations I hadn't actually visited, because, you know, if I look up a list, I feel like I visited everything there, and nothing jumps out at me as having been untouched. But we'll probably pull up the memory locket list as well, just in case anything comes to mind. And, oh yes, mementos. Let's go back up to town and I'll show you what we're looking at for that. I don't think we can go up the right side here. Let's go back up the left. Yeah, because if we just go over here, this just gets you into the point of no return fight. If for some reason you wanted to do it again, I think we're probably good for today, though. But yeah, this is great. I actually did not expect to have this much time left over necessarily. So total time on getting that fight down. Oh, I don't have my compass, actually. Let's put the compass back on just so we don't completely get lost. Let's actually, whoops, get back into something that's not specifically designed just for the boss fight, but something perhaps a bit more familiar and comfortable. That means compass, and that also means probably claw mirror, actually. Oh, and back to curve sickle, since we didn't really get a proper chance to use it. We'll do something other than traps as well. We'll do maybe clockwork wheel, maybe clockwork blades. Oh, you know what? We haven't really played around with vessels that much. Let's do it. Yeah, actually, 06, I discovered this by accident last time too. That yes, you can jump into the void, and the Everbloom just kind of sits there and lets you do that. I discovered that quite by mistake. Oh, let's fill up the silk. Now would also be a decent time to play around with some of the crests that we have underused. Experiment with them a little bit more, but maybe once we get out of the abyss, let's just see our way out first. So yeah, total time on Lost Lace was about 5 hours. So hardest game, or rather hardest fight in the game for me. Previously we spent 3.5 on Scarsinger Carmelita. And if you include the entire Bilewater climb, which we tried in 3 separate sessions before we eventually got up to Grohl to take him out, that in total would have taken me about 5 hours as well. So those were absolutely the capstone tasks for us in the game. And again, it turns out that with Lost Lace, that just going for the Druid's Eye health replenishment solves so much. We could just go up that side. No, that's okay. We'll go up to the diving bell from here. This is faster, presumably. Oh, whoops. Missed a grapple. And we'll just get out. We explored this pretty thoroughly. Okay, up the bell. Let's call for the return first. We haven't seen the return before, so let's do it. Did I ever encounter something new on return visit to the Grey Moor? Are you saying other than the chakra duel, which we did back in Act 2? Or I can think of a few things. The chakra duel, the Verdania sequence, which we did do. We did the extra fight with Clover Dancers. And yeah, so let's get up to Bellheart so I can show the memento situation. Currently. Are they going to dig through here? I guess they will. Yeah, polite NPCs, always appreciated. Oh, wait, I forgot to actually take the bell beast. Oh, let's do that. I do that sometimes. I take the bell beastlings and I then start running thinking that I'd already traveled. And we hadn't. Let's go to... Alright. I wonder if there's some kind of post-game decoration that we can buy for the house that we hadn't thought about previously. Okay. Let's see about that, actually. Let's ask. Nope, nothing new that acknowledges anything, but we might as well just spend on more shard bundles, since we have cash that we're not using anywhere else. And yeah, I'll just do all of that. And let's see about the mementos here. Oh, might as well get all this cash off of Crawfather as well. That's a big load of currency. I think it scales by time, but I'm not really sure. So, well, you can kind of see it on the wall as well, but here's the current memento count. So, yeah, this one we got from Lost Garmund, this one from the Watcher, from climbing to the surface, which we'll have to do again, partly. And Crawfather and Clover Dancers. So we're missing 3. One of them was the Hunter's Memento. We'll probably have to look up some of that as well. But for now, let's see where we'll proceed. So, well, we should see about the maggots first, actually, because surely we can just find some way to drop bombs on them or something, or... Yeah, because I didn't know that maggots were somehow killable. Maybe we just jump into muck and slash away at them or something, but... Let's see what to do. Okay. Actually, yeah, no, let's do it. So, we'll go over to Water again. Haven't had enough of this place now, have we? And... yeah, just looking at this. You know what? There's something I should probably check. No, I think we had... I'm looking at this top left location here. I remember that we had checked it, though. Across that pool and up. Yeah, because I remember that's where we were being blasted by exhaust. Anyway, let's see about the maggots. I mean, we can get Silk back and we're close to the bench, so... yeah, you can't really slap them like this. Maybe if you use tools. Try Conch Cutter or something that actually faces down. Let's do that. Oh, that's not the right kind of angle. Nope, that's not the right kind of angle either. What do we... It's not working at all. It's so shallow. Hang on. What do we go drill, actually? Let's go drill for a moment. Because then we can attack from above. No, it just sinks. Try Cogwork Wheel. We'll try Volt Vessels as well, I think. Let's... Cogwork Wheel, I don't know if it'll roll down into the maggots. It really won't. Oh, I think that did it, actually. Defeat 4 more to complete the Hunter's Notes. While we're here anyway, we might as well just do it. So yeah, that's how you do it, is you just slam the maggots. And that time we actually killed enough to catch 4 more at once. They cling fast to the shells of other bugs, destroying any hope for concentration or comfort. Okay, so that's 1 entry down. Nice and quickly. You use bombs for the environmental enemies. Interesting. Yeah, Paxman, it just never occurred to me at any point that I could actually harm the maggots because they didn't seem to have that kind of relationship with the character. Let's just say that. After lots and lots of experience in Bilewater. It's kind of funny that we got all the way through hours and hours of Sinner's Road and Bilewater and never once even accidentally took one out. Yeah, you did it by accident and you were just a bomb enjoyer. Understandable. Yeah, most of the game... You know what? We never actually really did much with Pimpillo. I'm just going to try it anyway. Let's see. We actually never really used this. Since you're talking about enjoying bombs. Oh, it totally pops them. Look at that. Yeah, because I got it very late. This was one of the last 2 things I picked up. The last 2 we picked up were using craft metal for this and Silk Shot, which I realize now that we haven't actually used either, so maybe we'll keep these 2 to, you know, give them a proper run. Anyway, Muck Maggot is out of the way. Next thing is we needed blasted steps. We'll do that. And I guess those are also environmental enemies. We're looking at them for blasted steps, so we're looking at the worms in the pits. Because that's one of the ones I'm missing, is the sand carvers. Sand carvers are kind of equivalent to maggots, I guess. If we actually find a pit that has them. Would have been easier from the Shellwood side, actually, because then we can do the exit of Farloom. What was I saying? Shellwood, yeah. Okay, let's see what we can do here. Yeah, because I guess we just lob a bomb in the sand and then take them out that way. I just read them completely as environmental hazards, like we did with the maggots, so just never even considered this as a possibility. Oh no, this area doesn't have the sand. You have to go up above. This area just has the exit that you can attempt to walk out of. Also, I want to see this interaction. I mean, I guess the timeline sort of rewind would have rewound back to before we approached Lost Lace, so I'm guessing Hornet still turns back and tells you can't leave Farloom, but I wonder if there's any new dialogue. No, nothing. Okay, no, we did the wrong thing. We actually did want to go up to the area that connects to Sands of Karak, because that's where the massive sand pit is. Among several. I mean, there are several situations like that, like the run up to Grand Gates on the right side of the Blasted Steps station would have done just as well. Let's do that instead. It's close. I totally forgot that this is actually just walkable floor all the way over here. So let's just go back up. Now there are 2 that I'm missing. I'm missing the sand carvers, which are the ones that are all over the floors, and I'm missing one after that as well. Let's see what we can do. Yeah, because it's these ones down here. So why don't we just drop the bomb and totally miss it? Oh, we actually got it. Defeat 13 more. Well, I mean, we're here anyway. Let's just do it. Let's get rid of this guy. Also, we can try the Silk Shot. Silk Shot is quite good, actually. Oh, it's like a shotgun shot, I guess. So yeah, you see, we actually just needed to drop 1 bomb, and that took out a ton at once. Okay, that's done. Well, what about the other one, though? Let me take a look here. So we're looking for squirms. Where even are they? Oh, okay, no, they're only in one particular room. I am looking this up because we aren't scraping by too much at this point. Yes, it's actually on the left side, the room that you drop into on the way up the column. So let's take a look at that. I don't even remember what we got there originally. But we'll climb. And yeah, this is just the thing that tells you about the last judge. The last judge being appointed to the judiciary. That's what that was about, as far as I could tell. Oh, it must be the ones down here. We had seen this. We had done this whole passage before. It must be those creatures that I fell into on the way down. Let's see if they come back or if I need to come back to this room. Why don't we just drop a bomb down a pit then? Because there was clearly something I'm missing here. Like, I couldn't really see them, but... like if we... oh, try to drop this a little more accurately. Oh, this drops lower. Yeah, that's right. So... I don't know if we actually hit anything. I can hear them. I can hear them go away. So there is something like a trap that I can leave here. We may want to consider going traps, actually. Like maybe just leave some tacks down here and then circle around a room and then have them come up and be damaged by tacks, perhaps. So there's clearly something down here. And they do come out. I also totally used all my bombs, so... let's try it that way. Let's go back down and switch to... axe or sting traps, perhaps. It looked like there was something that burrowed into the floor, so... well, let's refill this first. Our pumpkin bombs. And failing that, maybe Volt Vessels will work again. But, well, except its throwing angle is kind of down, like it doesn't go straight down, and we need something that does go straight. Is there anything that goes straight down other than a drill? I'm not really sure there is. Let's go tax. Try it. Yeah, because I can hear him stirring. You see, something's definitely coming out. So if we leave some tacks here, and we just circle around and come back down, maybe that will hit something. I hear the tacks doing something. There we go, that's a kill. Defeat 2 more to complete 100 snows. Well, why don't we just go up and back down unless they don't respawn? Yeah, that absolutely works. We'll even get some shards back for it. Let's just circle around then and see if more spawn. Yeah, so it looks like we might have... Oh, we didn't kill any that time. Defeat 2 more. Let's toss some more down there. Definitely something there, so... I can sing to them? Well, defeat 1 more. Sure, let's try it. Except I think I killed that one, so I guess we have to respawn a new one first, unless it just gets killed first. Okay, nothing got stabbed that time, so sure, let's try it. Doesn't seem like it. But maybe there's one that was rising in a position that was slightly out from what we had here. A taunt? Isn't playing the needle in itself a taunt? Yeah, we definitely got something. Yeah, there we go. Got it. So that strategy worked. Expensive in terms of attacks, but we got it. Allow the opportunity, these creatures will grow into a form larger, more impressive. Well, given that they're in the room with the card that tells the last judges he's been appointed to the judiciary. Yeah, I guess you can kind of see the lineage, maybe. Descriptive is just asking, do you know how to Garuma? Not exactly sure what you mean. So the answer might be no. But anyway, we have 3 entries remaining. You're saying there's an interaction on clicking to right stick? Oh, I didn't know that. I played 140 hours of this game or something, and I did not know that. You see, I never click sticks unless I absolutely have to, or by accident sometimes. And the thing is, in this game, there's hardly ever been a reason to even touch the right stick. There was actually a while when I was thinking, oh, you know, in spite of the fact that I can't stand stick clicks, I sort of wish I could have rebound something to right stick, because in the first 20 hours or so of the game, I was definitely struggling a little bit with the tool controls. And thinking we were short on total inputs that I could be using. So no, I didn't know that. It does use a bit of silk. I had no idea, because the thing is, it's not even in the bindable controls, if you look at the options. Controller, there we go. Yeah, it's not in the controls, it's not in the remap. So I never would have even thought about trying it. Absolutely a secret input there. The things we learn about this game after having completed 100%. Yeah, because there was a moment where I was thinking, I'm so short on the inputs and there's so much overlap with the tools, maybe I should find something to right stick if I could, but I couldn't. And the thing is, I was saying again that I pretty much never consider binding things to the right stick, because I cannot stand stick click inputs. on either stick. And that in itself is a good reason to eventually get one of these Switch 2 Pro controllers with the bindable GLGR pedals. So we can completely rid ourselves of those. Okay, in terms of the remaining journal entries, we have the penitent in the slab, like the little penitent. And we have the 2 that are on the cradle climb. So I guess we'll go to the slab first. And to see what we missed. Yeah, and again, I don't think I'm going to go through the list and grind out kills for the full completion today. If that's required for the Hunter's Medal or the Hunter's Memento, maybe we'll do it off stream, but I never did it with the original Hollow Knight. I never did a full journal completion there either, so. You would like to recommend content in Greymoor if I haven't run into a traveling fellow. Really? And how far in Greymoor are we talking about? Because we've been to the halfway home many times to see New there for hints. Eastern Bench. How did we miss something at the Eastern Bench? Did I just skip over it every time I went there? I don't know. Did I just miraculously skip over the Eastern Bench every time we crossed over to Verdania? Maybe I did. Yeah, we'll go back there and check. You know what? Since you're asking, let's just do it now. But we'll probably go back to talk to New anyway once we've hit 235 on the journal collection, even if it's not quite the journal completion, because I suspect that there's probably going to be some dialogue for that as well. So this won't be our last time back here by any means. I don't know if it's quite sunk in for me yet that we hit 100% today. Hit the 100% completion, rather, today. Probably because we did it so early in the stream, which was not necessarily what I was counting on. You know, we did that first in a day because I was really not sure from yesterday's experience how long it would take. Definitely there's a lot to talk about with this game. Reflect on the lows of the experience. Oop. Eastern Bench, sure, let's see what this is all about. I wonder if this is something I've seen or failed to notice or something. So, Eastern Bench, what are we supposed to look for here? Like something near the Eastern Bench? A bit east of the bench. So on the way over to the cross, right? In Chakra's former location, okay. Okay, no, I had not seen this. This is where Chakra used to hang out on our first pass through the section. I've not seen this character. Oh, this is Seth from... Yeah, okay, I didn't recognize him without the Guardian getup. Although I guess now I recognize the pin behind him, since we were swatted by that so often. So Guardian, I scarcely thought we would meet again after our encounter. Apologies, friend. I fear I don't recognize you, but I'm sure I would remember such a striking figure. Well, Hornet recognizes him despite what happened in that fight when it seemed like we'd taken him out. Pay no heed, sir. It seems I mistook you for another. You were a traveler through these quaking lands, I take it. I suppose I am indeed. I was born into this world not long ago, waking beside a lake with only this weapon laying beside me. So yeah, we totally did nuke him. It's just that we nuke him, and then as a guardian, he is reborn in the lake. Seth is my name, though I know not who gave it to me. Custom of the newly born is to explore the world, is it not? So that is what I've set out to do. I will rest here a moment and then continue my journey. Let's play for him. So yeah, the Guardian gets resurrected, which is interesting. Fateless and free, to the beginning and back, where others tread and beyond. Fresh shell, clear sight. Fateless and free. Interesting, so he's going to outlast all of us. The sharp-faced bugs of these drizzled caves love to swoop and play, don't they? If only I could understand their beautiful language. Okay. Alright, let's get back to the journal. Yeah, all these little flavorful interactions all over the game that are so easily missed. I love that this game is full of this kind of thing. Oh yeah, let's remember to travel to this slab. So we're looking for the puny penitent. And I think I know why we would have missed these, because... Well, maybe I just failed to kill them and had encountered them earlier and just skipped over them, but... Oh, also, we don't need text now. We should switch back to various fun things. Maybe even switch over to Architect, so we can really mess around with tools for a bit. Like, don't need a magma belt. We can do double throw on it just for fun since we collected it. Where's my doubler here? Quick sling, there it is. Go really tools heavy. Curve sickle, throwing ring, volt vessels. What are we going to consider? Some other tool I've been underusing. Oh yeah, silk shot. There we go. Yeah, then we can just blast everything inside, and that'll be fun. Which we may need to if they're covered in void. Watch this. Oh, watch what? Okay. Just shotgun everything like that. And yeah, that was one of the penitents again. We need to... First of all, heal up. We're going to play like that. And yeah, we want to go up to the area where Barnet originally got her cloak back when imprisoned. If we can make it up there. We could have just ascended up here, I guess, but that would have likely have a lot of bumping of heads. Oops. That was a very sticky end, almost. And just blow him away quickly. So through here. Oop. Wrong way. Oh, it must be this little guy. Defeat 5 more to complete the 100's notes. Okay. I mean, I guess we can scan around to see if there are any more, otherwise we'll just reset them at a bench and come down here and farm them. Like I said, we don't necessarily need to go for the full 235, but it's more that, like, I'm here anyway. Let's just take them out if we can. Although if we start running ourselves a little broke, we can also play around with Shaman a little bit too. Do some other things with silk skills. Just splashed them everywhere. But right now we'll just do whatever's reasonably stylish. Her sickle seems to be doing pretty well here. Yeah. Don't know if we can find any more of those. Little penitent. More over here. Just traps. Yeah, not really. If we see more of them hanging about, then we'll take them out, but I can see why those were missed, given that I am not even sure I had really been back in that room since the slab escape. So yeah, Curve Sickle is actually way better than Silk Shot here in terms of efficiency. Don't even need to take this one out, but I guess we get some shards back. Our trouble. Since we're expending them so quickly. Expending the shards quickly. You know what? Let's play around with Shaman a little bit. Get some silk back. We can also go with the cost reduction one. Where is it? Egg of Fleelia. There we go. Don't even need necessarily the multi-bind. In fact, it makes a certain amount of sense to go Druid's Eye on that. Just have to remember we're healing for 3 now. Oh, whoops. Oh, I guess we'll go up this way. And totally miss. Interesting that, yeah, it doesn't catch the ceiling here, but what if we go slightly off to the side? Oops. No, can't really go up that way. That's alright, we'll just go around. The easy way. Okay, we'll just punch him out. How many left? 2 more. Yeah, I don't know that we'll necessarily be this thorough with everything else. Like I said, this is exactly why we're not just grinding out the whole journal on stream. I think it would be a bit much. But of course, we're only missing about 30-some enemies as far as grinding goes, but we'll see. Let's do everything else we can first. Oh, also I have no resources left. Overspent already. We'll just take out one more here, and then we'll get out of here and do the cradle climb. Also, let's remember to just fill up silk, since we can. Why we didn't think of that in the first place is certainly a mystery. Okay, that's out. Those got fried. Let's go over to the cradle climb. So yeah, these must be the ones near that top section. No wonder we didn't see them because whenever we went back to the cradle climb, there came to the point where when we were looking for Mr. Mushroom or going back for anything else, we would just skip the part of the climb, I think, where many of the later enemies would start to appear. So let me just double check what it is I'm missing so we know what to look for. I think it's just the flying ones that were on the way up, that we were mostly just catching with the harpoon instead. Which kind of tells me if we're doing the climb, maybe we should... that's okay, Shaman will work because you get this lovely movement off of it. Actually, it makes sense to go drill, potentially. But we want something that has a proper downward attack to it, so let's go back to Reaper and go drill. Because then we can land on top of things and take them out properly. Yeah, Silk Shot I was kind of surprised wasn't really seemingly that effective. No, we'll play around with Volt Filament some more. Actually, it's Red Storm for this. Oops. There we go. And in terms of the cradle, probably easiest to go Memoriam and drop. And, oh yes, actually one of the ones we're missing are the ones that are the bugs on the surface itself, like on top of the surface that we saw in close-up during the Mr. Mushroom ending. I didn't know those were killable. So maybe we should have gone for something like bombs that might be able to reach them better. I don't really know. But then we'd be pretty short on ammunition. So, yeah, Volt Filament could do just as well, maybe, at range. But yeah, we'll probably still take the skip. And descend from the skip like we did to find Mr. Mushroom, because then we don't need to bother with the platforming of the climbing segment itself. Once we're past the first leg of it going up. Trying to remember how to re-enter. There we go, slightly to the left. Also, since we're here, let's check the Hunter's Journal to see what exactly we are missing for completion. In terms of not having killed sufficient numbers. Massive Moss Grub, we're actually missing one, I think. Yeah, this is in a Memoriam, that's easy. Hardbone Hopper, that's just back over to the extended section of the far fields. That's easy as well. Hardbone Elder. Same idea, I think. This one's also in the Memoriam. There's one particular room that we keep running into for it. Grom. I think these are just ones in the Wormways. And yeah. Rhino Grund. I remember this one. Farloom's Lowlands. I got pinched by this repeatedly. I'm just trying to remember where. But all of this is in the Marrow section. Not surprising that after facing some of these originally, I would have just started dodging them. This one's all over the Citadel. Overgrown Pilgrim. Interesting. And Lava Larga, that's just at the bottom of the deep docks. Rush Flit. I think these are the ones that are in the water climbs, does that make sense? Or that's not the right section for it though, that has to be Farfields. Yeah, that's gotta be Farfields. Not surprising that we didn't defeat enough of these because we actually avoided them quite a lot in Greymoor once we faced them originally. Might Mother. Not even sure I remember those very well. It's also Greymoor. I just don't think we encountered too many of them. Slubberlug. Yeah, we went through the Slubberlug room yesterday, in fact. It's just that one room in Bilwater that got me up to the Mask Shard, where they're hopping all over the place. Surprising that we didn't defeat enough Muck Roaches, considering that we nuked a whole bunch of them for that one quest. Roach Keeper. Surprising that we haven't defeated enough of these ones, given that they're all over the Putrefied Ducks. I think we just started avoiding them after a while, perhaps. Some of them in Shellwood. Yeah, I'm just kind of assessing this for plausibility and to have this under record, but I don't think we're really realistically going to grind this out on stream, though. Cogwork Crawler. Well, that's in the Cog Core. That's simple. More of these in the Cogworks and that whole area as well. And the Whispering of Vaults, of course. Scroll Reader. That's the one that we kept slamming into by accident. Into Whispering Vaults. He doesn't seem to be in the same position at Act 3, though. That we previously had to deal with. Life Seed. Yeah, these are the ones that you pop for Plasmid Masks. And these are just in the Abyss. Garpid, defeat 27. That's a ton. And that's in this area. That's in the climb. And those are just bosses, so... Yeah, I'm just assessing this because I was trying to assess whether it's worth it to farm the Garpids while we're here, since we might be doing that for the journal. But I don't think I'll bother. I think we'll just log the encounters. At some point we can do a follow-up to grab mementos, but I'm not expecting a full completion of all of that today. Yeah, you see, despite having cleared 100% and seen the ending earlier today, truly doesn't feel like we're done with this game. And I do wonder if the to be continued with Mr. Mushroom is indicative of some future, much longer term project, or if it is going to be some kind of Fallout DLC. Then that would specifically be a post game, like post 100% DLC, though. Seems like a tiny fraction of players will be there to deal with it, potentially. I kind of wonder what the achievement rates are on Steam, actually. I should take a look at that afterwards. just to get a sense of how people have been progressing. And Steam, of course, has been very heavily and continuously played since its release, by the standards of any single-player game. And up we go. As well pull up and see what we can do. But yeah, we'll take the port that goes all the way up to the surface. We'll try to grab the surface one that we know we're missing, and then also the flying grapple point enemies that are on the climb itself. Descriptive history asking, you know, Mr. Mushroom speaks to the Hungry Knight and Tomb Cat from Team Cherry's previous games. I actually didn't. Yeah, there's a bunch of supplemental lore that I'm just not aware of. I never really looked up outside information with either Hollow Knight or this game, that's the thing. Notwithstanding in past stream and a bit some of these stray locations that we're looking at in this game. I'd never really done some of the finer points of the lore and trivia. Oops. Oh yeah, I've totally... whoa. First death would taken since 100%. Okay, whoops. We're all the way down here. Because I didn't even bother to take a closer bench. There is no closer bench. So you're saying you've made sense of Mr. Mushroom's dialogue in 2 of his locations in Hollow Knight. The rest of his dialogue is all unknowable mysteries, so we assume we will come to know them on the road ahead. Interesting. Just a little treat for people who have been following along that closely. I was about to heal in that position too, and I realized, okay, yeah, no, I was actually just in the process of saying, I realized that I put Druid's Eye on the global slot. And totally forgot to swap that back to Multibind. Because it was right when I realized that we were still on the 3-mask heal rather than 4 that I got nuked by that one enemy. Descriptive is, well, I'd like to catch up with Seth at 3 more locations. Let's see, let's complete this journal bit first. And then, again, remember, we are also short on memory lockets, which, if I decide to hunt for them, might require a bit of sorting out in terms of understanding which clues are not locations that I've already obtained memory lockets from, because I don't know that I recognize what I have or haven't done. So we'll see. Definitely, you know, since we're just roaming the map for dialogue, that's something plausible we'll do, but I'd like to fill out the encounters in a Hunter's Journal first, at least, even if we're not destroying everything thoroughly in the required numbers. I'm likely to run this as a shorter stream today anyway, because we went so extravagantly long yesterday, and really expecting to be on Silksong for an extra day at all to begin with, but it's a good opportunity to just kind of talk about and reflect on this game and really process it, though, I guess, if we're going through the map, having already obtained that satisfaction of getting over the finale. Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize it was a whole separate cutscene for Mr. Mushroom. I'm glad we remained totally unspoiled for things like that. That was a little treat. But yes, like I've been saying, when I played Hollow Knight originally, I've said it on stream a couple times in the last week, but it felt like the first game in the genre that really sort of understood the sense of openness and sense of vastness and mystery that was such a feature of Super Metroid. Like, there were so many imitators that attempted the format with varying levels of success, but none, in my view, up to that point that had really understood how to capture that by trusting the player as well, too. Whoa, we're gonna die soon. Why don't we just Volt Filament this guy or something, or even Threadstorm him? Okay, let's not die here before we hit the cocoon. Enemy coming. Oh, whoops. You know what? Why don't we shock him like that? Take him out. And so the striking thing about that comparison, right, is that part of how Hollow Knight accomplished that was just by being really quite large and, you know, being essentially 3 times as large as Super Metroid. In terms of the initial playtime, I think. My initial playtime in Hollow Knight was 30 to 40 hours, I think. We were completing it somewhere around 80-something%, and that was just with the very basic ending. Hadn't seen Radiance or anything like that. Anyway, this game comes along, and if you look at this, when I finished Act 2... when we did the transition in Act 3 from the Needle-In ending with Grandmother Silk, I was at, I think, 87 hours. So we spent, just with in-game time, as much time in Act 3 as I did in the entirety of my original first run through Hollow Knight. And that's remarkable to me, because it feels like we just got into Act 3, essentially. Like, it feels like we hadn't been in it for that long, and that at that point we had already explored almost everything on the map in terms of unlocking zones, apart from Verdania. And of course, you know, just in the course of going through the map and finding little passageways we had not previously seen. Oh, okay, we need to kill that bug. Wait, hang on. Let's see if we can bullet vessel him. Oh no, he's gonna run away. That's okay, we can just port in and out and maybe respawn him just by going in and out. So we should have had some kind of forward-facing weapon. I realize now we don't have anything like throwing rings or things that could have hit it from afar. Okay, how many do we need? 8 more? I don't know if we'll... well, we climbed all the way up here. I guess we should. Well, we still have the tools to do it. So anyway, this game comes along and we spend a full Hollow Knight sized game's worth of time in Act 3, which I guess is partly a function of, whoops, some of the difficulty of the fights. I'm not used to having a Volt Vessel on up instead of down because it's a downward facing attack. It's slightly unintuitive to me to have it on the up input, but let's do it properly. Oh, we actually stabbed it directly, and we have a raid. Paparazzi, welcome. It's been a while. Yeah, Paparazzi, we finished the 100% ending in this game today, earlier in the stream. I finished it much earlier than I thought I would. So we're just grinding out a little bit of assorted post-game business. You've been wanting to play this game so bad, and it is well worth it. It will not disappoint. Oh, whoops. It is a very large undertaking. I was actually just kind of talking about its scope and how, similarly to how Hollow Knight kind of captured the feeling of playing Super Metroid for the first time while being 3 times as big. You know, Silksong coming along and capturing the feeling of playing Hollow Knight for the first time by being 3 times as big, essentially, at least with the way I played through it. Of course, I was significantly impacted by the amount of time we spent on several of the late-game bosses. You kind of want to play the first one before playing the sequel. Yeah, I recommend that, and I recommend giving them a bit of distance between each other. Don't just hop from one to the other right away. You'll burn out. And the first game, in particular, also has to be savored. Like, you want to take your time with it and really explore it to your heart's content. Yeah, the double kill on it is quite nice. I guess we just need 3 more. Okay. We're running out of tools here, though. Descriptive is, do you think you'll play the sequel first because that sounds funny? I think some people have done that. Given how well it sold on Steam, I really don't think that was just restricted to people who had already played the first game. We are out of Volt Vessel. I don't know if we'll be able to catch the other ones. We should have gone Spear, actually. I forgot that we didn't have anything forward facing a long range. But you know, wait, no, we have a bench right here. I forgot we have a bench right here. We could just reload a tool. Wait, why don't we just go Spear then? That makes so much more sense. Yeah, anyway, 06, you were saying you think Silksong has a better first impression? I'm not sure. I haven't really thought about that yet, I think. That with Silksong, of course, one thing with the early game was that I felt like it took me a while to get accustomed to both tools usage and some of the aerial movement. Oh, I was facing the wrong way. And yeah, once you drop one like that, then the other one's a spear. Why didn't we just use a spear? We put on the spear specifically for this. There we go. Much better. We should have just done that in the first place, not expended so many resources. Anyway, we are going to go down the climb the slow way, but to do that, we're going to refresh at the bench first. And the idea was to use drill, possibly threadstorm for it. We want something downward. We're able. Although, in that case, we should have some kind of forward-facing attack for the top. Conch Cutter might work because of that downward movement on it, although it's hard to aim. Curved sickle might also be good, actually. We'll go up top and we'll go down. So, 069, the thing about the map design is that I think it's something that is really remarkable about this game is how late you get to double jump. I thought Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown did it late, and it, was well past halfway point of that game for me. But in this game, I didn't get double jump until, 40 hours in. I think it has a very significant effect on the map design and specifically the replayability of early zones, because typically what happens in a Metroid-style game, and that includes Hollow Knight 1 and that includes Super Metroid, is that midway through the game, you notice the split in design between the early game sections and the mid to late game sections, because the early game sections are all conspicuously designed for not having the double jump. And so whenever you return to those sections, they all feel relatively claustrophobic. And that's absolutely the case for Hollow Knight 1 as well, right? You go back to the starting area, and if you're going back there late in the game, particularly as you're going to be there anyway, heading towards the Temple of the Black Egg, you notice how low the ceilings are, and you notice how small the jumps are. Silksong does not have that problem because it spends dozens of hours training you to not have a double jump, and it even has this very interesting decision of having your main grapple go sideways and only sideways for the longest time, such that, unlike many games with the grapple does not give you height. And so you have all this spacious aerial movement from, being able to float and being able to ride currents and so on. But the mid-game zones, like the early zones, and actually, for that matter, the entire map, is designed to have this very even spacing to it, where you don't have that split between this half of the map was designed for single jump, this half of the map was designed for double jump, right? And in the end, like many of the skills you get over the course of Silksong, they are much less oriented around being hard gates for where you can or cannot go, with very few exceptions, and far more oriented around being options that you have in combat. Right, so this was the last mushroom location. That's where he launched up into the sky. So where are the aerial enemies here that were the grapple points? How low do we go for those? Here we are. Oh, they're shielded up top. Oh, no wonder we didn't kill them, because you actually cannot drill them from below. Let's go Thread Storm against them then, if we can, and drop between them in the Thread Storm. No wonder we didn't log these. Whoops. Here we go. Was that enough? I think it was enough. We got the second mark on those. Yeah, Thread Storm actually was a terrific choice here. And you know what? We don't need to do this anymore, so we'll just go up. Now, at this point, we have, I think, completed 235. Encountered 235. We have not completed 235, but again, I think it's going to be too much of a grind to do the completion on stream at the moment. What we will do is we'll go back to Greymoor, I think, as we exit this section, and then we'll talk to New to see if there's new dialogue, and then we'll see about following up on what Descriptivist was saying about the resurrected Seph's location. Oh, are we not far down enough yet? Let's go a bit further. Oh, once we get rid of this guy. And Paparazzi, you gotta get sleep, but you had to raid me before you did. Yeah. Thank you so much once again for dropping by. I think we need to get out of this section before we have a valid bell location. Hang on. And yeah, no worries about not rating me more, you know. And we appreciate you coming by whenever you can. At whatever pace you so choose. Right, we need to get out of here, and then now we can... Yeah, because this was in an interior zone, technically, so now we can grab beastlings. Or, well, let's find some actual ground to stand on. But yeah, despite not having a double jump for the longest time, I find it very noticeable that with Silksong anyway, it seems like you have a lot more of the rooms designed with a lot more ceiling height in mind. I feel like Hollow Knight, well, particularly once you get into the tunnels in that game, is much more restrictive when it comes to height, since you're not doing as much aerial play, whereas in this game it seems like you've got aerial combat all over the place, which is why you also have so many flying enemy gauntlets to match what the mechanics permit. We were going to go to Greymoor to talk to New. Yes, that's right. And yeah, we'll have time, I think, to try to grab the last memory lockets. Mementos, I think we'll probably wait for some other time, and I'm not sure how soon. I think after this stream we might put Silksong away for a bit, and if there's more content to do, it may make sense to see what post-launch content is like, and eventually return to it. Because on one hand, I don't feel finished with this game. On the other hand, you know, we've reached a very clear, conclusive note today that I'm made with. Could it be that the works is almost complete? And yeah. Okay, so nothing new actually. You still need to really properly complete everything. Understandable. Descriptive is, have I ever gained a 9 plasmium mass? We can try it. But plasmium resets at a bench, right? So you can only gain 6, can't you, with these? But then you can also tap the nodes that are inside the wormways for the additional ones, no? Oh, yes, that's right, because the architect can reload charges. You know, we can mess around with that. Why not? Let's see what happens. Spend silk to rapidly craft new tools. Let's have some shards available as well. If we're going to do that. I wonder if the double usage also applies to this. Oh, I'm gonna leave poison on. Why not? That sounds fun. Do you overdose on it like Plasmified Sango did? I wouldn't be surprised if there's some kind of overdose effect. Okay, so in that case, let's go... Yeah, because we actually wasted a lot of shell shards when I was playing around with the plasmium vial before I noticed A, how many shards it actually consumes even once you have the infinite reserve, and B, that you lose everything at the bench. We didn't account for that very well. Okay, so the double usage doesn't apply to this. Oh, and actually this gives you a poison interaction that's a poison cloud that explodes, so it's not actually even the usual interaction. So we need to take off poison then, because that's not going to work. We had seen the poison and flea brew interaction where you have the poison cloud around yourself, but I hadn't actually seen poison and plasma where it gives you the poison heart. So that's unexpected. Okay, what would synergize well with this then? We could go... Well, we might as well just go for more shell shards perhaps, or... Oh no, we want to replace this one. Hang on. Oh, let's just go Longclaw. Why not? You're thinking Polar Pouch also has an interesting ability on the Flint Slate, yeah? I mean, it's attack oriented, right? So wouldn't it just poison your weapon or something? Anyway, let's stab ourselves. And then... Okay. I'm not crafting a tool very well yet, though, right? Like, I'd have to bind, but then... How come it's not crafting anything? Oh, do I not understand how the bind works in Architect in terms of actually repairing the tool? How do I repair the tool? You see, this shows you that we never actually had that in action with... Oh, craft bind. It's up in A. Okay, okay. Read the manual, I guess. So let's grab some more silk then. And let's just get out of here so we can maybe tap something a little easier. So yeah, up gives you the craft. Let's just go back there. I just want to tap it safely before it started dropping void everywhere. Okay. There we go. Alright, let's overdose in this and see what happens. Yeah, you overdose. And whoa, that's interesting. Can I do more? No. So what happens now? If I take damage, does it refresh health like Plasmified Zango did, or I guess we should take damage and find out. And oh, yeah, it totally does refresh by itself. Interesting. So yeah, you turn into a plasmide being like the other apprentice. But then what happens if you bind? Let's take a look here. Yeah, very neat little Easter egg. So if you bind, nothing happens, okay. Because you're not restoring your basic mass. Very neat. I'm guessing that hitting a bench just resets this completely though and takes off everything, doesn't it? Okay, what was I even doing? Oh yes, memory lockets. If again. So I'm just going to go down a list to see if there's anything we don't necessarily recognize. The problem is I recognize everything. I feel like we checked everything here. I'm not even sure what would... be available. Oh, here's one I don't necessarily recognize. Let's see. It's west of the Greymore Bellway. Let's check it. Top corner over here. No, we've been here. We've been here ages ago. This is the whole area that you navigate. Just waiting that to get up the top corner, right? Oh, we have to deal with these ones now. Because wasn't this just where we got the memory locket? I think it is. Can't be that one then. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, everything purchasable we acquired already. There's one that... Let me think. Is apparently a blasted steps location. That could have been missable. Really? No, that was on the... Run up. How could we possibly have missed something like that, though? Given that we've been over all of these central passages multiple times on the delivery quests. Yeah, I really don't even know what we're missing. Water. Left side room. By the Bellway. Wait, no, we'd been there. I know what that one is. We might wind up having to check everything anyway, just from not recognizing what I had or had not seen. Yeah, one past Phantom, check that. Underworks, check that. Yeah, I just recognize everything, so what could it possibly be? Oh, here's one to check in Greymore. I don't know that we had done it. Let's go back to the halfway home. Yeah, because definitely with craft metal, we missed the craft metal inside Deep Docks. Because we're guessing Biowater or Deep Docks. Well, we'll see. Because with Deep Docks, it was definitely one of those locations where I thought I had checked it previously, but then it turned out that long ago when we were there, we just simply didn't break the wall. Yeah, this is one. This is one of the ones we're missing. Memory locket right here. In the halfway home. Okay, that's one. That's good. We actually managed to reduce this problem to one remaining. All of the ones that are listed for Biowater I remember doing, though. And the Deep Docks drop west of the Diving Bell, we've definitely done that. Maybe Wormways. There's one in a particular corner of the Wormways. Maybe we didn't check that. One to check the Blasted Steps. We should check the Blasted Steps. That was also one of the craft metal areas that we didn't inspect properly the first time either, so let's do that. At least we counted for that one quickly. Yeah, no wonder I missed that one. I just never thought to check this. in all the times we've been here. Okay. Oh, and notice that taking the Bell Beast did take out the Plasmium effect. So anyway, that was fun to play with while it lasted. But let's put this back on Poison. And let's put that back on some kind of offensive tool. Yeah, we'll put it back on, I don't know. Cogwork Wheel might be fun. Let's do it. Just chop everything on the ground. The halfway home one you'd think is the hardest without looking it up. It's one of those where, you know, the issue generally with things that you might want to look up at the end is that it's not even corners of the map that you haven't checked. It's corners of the map that you know you have checked, but maybe there's one particular spot that you didn't realize you missed. And because it's a mapped location, you have a total blind spot for it. That's what happened with the Blasted Steps craft metal that was right to the left of the Grand Gate, which doesn't even get mapped once you fall into that pit, right? So with those, I don't feel too bad about looking it up. I'm always very averse to outside information with games like this. I really prefer to do everything blind, but sometimes you have to be a bit more practical about it. So yeah, this was the lower location here that we go for. Past Pin Master. So apparently something in this section. Oh, I see it. That's it. This spot. See, another spot that, you know, would we ever have thought about it? Well, okay, at least we resolved that really quickly. That's all the memory lockets in the game then. That's it. So, you know what? Let's plug all of them in since we have the ability to do so now. We'll have to do it at a bench. Right? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because look at this. This room here. I would have done this run so many times for the various courier escort quests and never thought to just jump down here. Remembering that this, like Hollow Knight before it, is not really a game with bottomless pits for the most part, except if you're in dream sequences, essentially. I mean, you have hazards that are on the floor, but you don't really have bottomless pits as such, so, you know, pits are pretty much almost always worth checking if you can't see what's going on. So, memory lockets are done, all of a sudden. That was really quite unexpected that we'd get them this quickly. But okay. So at this point, let's plug in all of the remaining slots just because we can. We never really played around with Witch very much, in spite of the fact that having 4 blue slots in total seems naturally quite interesting. And then let's also plug in Hunter, kind of poetic plug in Hunter last, after neglecting it all game as the default set with its own little upgradable bonus attached to it. Anyway, at this point, Descriptivist, you were saying something about the various locations for Seth, and you said that we'd have to follow up in Shellwood. Yeah, we might as well head over there and take a look. That will probably be the last thing we do today, though. And you know what? Why don't we just do this on Hunter? Since we played so little with it. And sure, let's just go like that and back on Clawmere, perhaps. Or even Snitch Pick. Not that we need any currency whatsoever. Actually, the fast charge might be quite good here too. Yeah, and you're welcome to hint locations. I'm not going to just comb the whole map exhaustively for sets, given that we didn't even notice the Greymore interaction the first time. So, if we're here in Shellwood, we're at this extent of Shellwood, though, I guess. Well, why don't we just take the bottom layer through it and see? Just going to take a look, unless, of course, he's just back to his original location. Also, yeah, let's maybe play properly here. Totally not used to the original Hunter movement, even after all this time. You know, just from not really playing it very much. Well, might as well check the grave location. This is where Pinmaster was previously. Nothing much here. I guess we'll just have to go through it. Layer by layer. Oops. I'm already thinking from the downward attack that maybe we'll just switch back off Hunter to something I can play. We never really got any mileage out of the upgraded Hunter effect just from not playing Hunter. This was where Chakra defended location previously. That's already at the extent of Shellwood, though, so... Might as well head up and see what we see. Anything around the bench? You know what? There's so much jumping around here. We're going to finish a little Hunter experiment, I think. Might be fun to go Witch. We never really learned how to properly do the replenishment on the Witchbind. That's the only thing. It's kind of like you have to get in really close, like I tend to do with the Claw Mirror. We'll just go back to Shaman or something. Anyway, we can see the connecting passages up to Bellheart or whatever else, I guess. this entire sequence would have been quite missable anyway if we previously just hadn't come back here since defeating Seth in Guardian form. Yeah, Shaman feels really snappy on the downwards thrust. You know, it doesn't take long like Reaper does, but you still get the same kind of angle. As long as you don't have any problems from backwards movement. I honestly have no idea where to come from, though. What would he be curious about? Can I pull up the map again? Yeah. Whoops, that's not the map. That's... You think he's east of me, really? Oh, you mean like even just in the dome area right here? Oh, look at that. We were exactly one room off. What if he sings anything different? Nope. Same as before, I think. Oh, hello again. This time I most certainly do recognize you. It is a pleasure to bump into you here, deep in this serene wood. Do you have a name like I do? Would you share it with me? Certainly, sir. I'm Hornet. I noticed you gazing at the buds above us. Are they familiar to you, perhaps? No, not at all. Very beautiful, though. Perhaps I should gather some up before venturing on. Yeah, it turns out he was totally east of me. Okay, where to next? You wonder what that big room on the map is for, then? Which big room? And because the one with the giant column here was where you got one of the major powers or tools, wasn't it? Yeah, this was... I'm trying to remember what we got off of here, but it was one of the major skills. Let me take a look again. Was it here that we got Cling Grip? I think it actually was. Because it's after you defeat Sister Splinter, or whatever her name was, right? And then that's how you progress. And that's... I remember that because we needed the Cling Grip in order to get one of the final parts of the Polyp quest, at least the way I was playing it. Red Knight, welcome. Yeah, Red Knight, we did hit the 100% ending today. We're just following the dialogue with Seth, the resurrected Seth that I didn't know was in the game. And I've been accepting some of the backseating for it since we would really not have been able to figure this out ourselves. I guess we'll do the legendary, wonderful Last Judge run back to get up to the gate, to approach it properly. I wonder how these interactions work out, incidentally, if you just get into later acts while circumventing the Last Judge. Like, if you only went up to the Citadel on the Mist side, I'm just trying to figure out logically if the game lets you do everything else you need to do without passing through the Grand Gate. Essentially, is the Last Judge missable? Eventually. I guess maybe he just still hangs around until Act 3. You could save him for that if you want. Right now, you said you loved Seth. You hadn't found him outside of Gravemore yet. I hadn't found his resurrected form at all, actually, until it was mentioned to me after I finished the final boss for 100%. Descriptive as I still find it a great shame that we never saw a proper duel between Garmond and Zote. They feel beautifully matched. Here's the Grand Gates. Except maybe we have to go to the central chambers here. Or... I didn't know if you meant the gate itself or the gate as a zone. In which case... Yeah, because this is just the entrance over to Blasted Steps. Not really much to look at over here. This is the area west of the gate where the fleas once belonged. And that counts as Blasted Steps. 06, you're saying need to update, as in, you know, hit a bench or hit a fast travel point? Yeah. Yeah, that's true. We've been going continuously. So let's hit the bench that was at the LB's location. Probably is a bench. I think that's what we saw with the NPC for the Curve Claw upgrade, as well as that he disappeared on me until we refreshed. I guess we'll do the run back again. And it doesn't feel nearly as menacing as it once did a long time ago, right? When we... Getting up to the last judge. I mean, I guess we have so many more abilities to work with now. We have double jump for one thing. Yeah, it's funny how innocuous this whole sequence feels now. Oop, there we go. Funny thing is that despite how legendarily late the double jump came along in this game, kind of between around 38 to 40 hours for me, that was, by my playtime, the 1/3 mark of the game. It certainly didn't feel that way at the time. It felt like Count Fei was getting into late game material, but I've missed the opportunity to see his third location, you think. Okay, so there was some other interaction that we have negated somehow because of some other condition that I've filled. Alright, and he's gone to the final location of Fleetopia. Okay, we can look that up afterwards, I guess. He hangs out at the Grand Gate until you get the Everbloom. I got the Everbloom long ago. And by long ago, I mean... How long ago? Well, a few days ago. So let's go over to Utopia then. And am I going to bother with the wreath? Yeah, we might as well. Just because we're so silk dependent for Shaman anyway, we should do this properly. Although I know I needed to kill 2 of these for their entry. I was very surprised that we didn't catch enough of them. I guess that's why, because they keep getting taken out by their friends. The barnacle ate that guy? Yep, that's what they do. You know what? There we go. And yeah, we knew that we needed to catch that. Oh, whoops. Missed the harpoon there. Yeah, harpoon takes you straight through them. That's why I was using it. Anyway, here's Fleetopia, and he's here. Let me get the bench first. Greetings, Seth. It is a welcome surprise to see you here amongst these festivities. Hello, hello. Yes, my wandering was long, and I began to fear I would meet my end in those sticky swamps below. How lucky I was to stumble upon the home of these friendly revelers. They said I could be a flea here with them, so of course I agreed. Seems as good a place as any to call home, at least for a time. Now I just need to grow a little fur and sprout some wings, eh? Aha. Have you tried your claw at the games? A rollicking good fun, don't you think? I wonder if I could score a little higher if I tried again. Let's take a look at the board. So Seth beat all of my scores. Oh, I actually was very close already on the bounce. That's interesting that we were within 2 on the bounce. I wonder what happens if you come here and I wonder if these are static benchmarks where if you already have a high score that is beyond what Seth has, if that goes recognized or if that changes the numbers at all. That's interesting. So yeah, he's an honorary flea. Does even Hornet have that honor? Nope. So yeah, it looks like we have new high scores to beat. Now, given how long that took me to put together the first time, as in an entire stream, I don't think we're doing it today. We did, however, work out methods that got me into some pretty decent territory on all of these games. I was previously doing this with Architect. Depending on whether the patterns really intensify, I feel like these are all very theoretically reachable for me. It's just that they might take a bit of work. So you're saying Seth's scores are always these numbers. And you believe that if Seth moves here before I become Grand Champion, I have to beat his scores to become Grand Champion? That seems especially forbidding, but I guess if you beat him before you got the final pin upgrade, you're probably good enough to do it. I think maybe the game trusts you to be competent enough to do it. But yeah, that's true, because, you know, if he's already on a scoreboard, then you're not just going to be rewarded for being in second place, right? Yeah, Juggle was by far the hardest for me. Juggle took me 2 hours, but the thing is, we figured out a method for it, and we actually got pretty consistent with the method up to the high 20s for many, many attempts. And so maybe that will stick, and maybe you can actually get up to 55. Because the thing is, once you get into about the 30 mark, that's when you have to take 4 at once. And that's not even accounting for the occasional flea brew one that comes by, or the big guy who does the fast bounce. Bounce feels very doable. I think we were stuck at 42 in exact tie for a long time, but once we passed it, we really, really passed it. So I don't think we're doing any of that today, though. We might want to speak to him one more time in case. Yeah, you still are referred to as Miss Grand Champion, even if you're no longer the champion. I wonder if he says anything else to acknowledge this. I also wondered if he sings anything else. Dance and play is all fleas past. Yeah, he sings with the other ones. Well, let's refill over here. So I think this will be a natural place to conclude. We got all memory lockets. We got all encounters, but we're missing 30 completions on the journal, which, again, I don't know if we'll grind out on stream. Probably not. We don't have the records any longer over here, and we are 3 mementos down, one of them being the Hunter's Memento. But I'm pretty satisfied with where we wound up with this today. So maybe we'll take this as the final save point for the time being, and we'll probably be taking a break from Silksong for some time, I think, unless I'm really feeling motivated to have a day to grind away at the games. It's more that maybe while we're still kind of warmed up and still have this fresh in memory. But it might also make sense to, eventually see what the long-term content plan is for this game, and, with the expectation that we'll come back for something, and when we do, maybe we'll tidy up some of the unfinished business. We'll see. It might be that I just really terribly miss this game immediately after I end the stream, or as soon as tomorrow, when I really feel like we have something to prove when it comes to the flea juggle, and for all we know, we can be back here right away. Yeah, Red Knight, you're saying very fun playthrough to watch. Thank you. Very fun playthrough to play. I actually am kind of glad now that I have, for myself, earned the privilege of starting to watch other people, which I've been studiously avoiding, because I'm very curious now how others have been doing and what approaches they've been taking to the various fights. Descriptivist, you're saying maybe oil doesn't require beating Seth's scores. Yeah, that does seem like it would be overly forbidding. But yeah, so we're ending this at somewhere in the mid-120s in terms of hours played. We hit the 100% ending at just under 124, so I think that puts us at about 126, 125 or 6 with the in-game timer. And, it's funny because despite how this was 3 times as big, as long as a bit of an ordinary completion run through Hollow Knight, particularly your first time through, the pacing was so dense that the whole time it felt really like just the same pace as playing Hollow Knight, but the difference being that you spend a lot more time between major upgrades, but particularly movement upgrades. You spend a lot more time with one situation when it comes to how many masks you have, how many spools, and how you're able to jump and move around. But other than that, in terms of the actual map exploration, it just kind of felt like playing lots and lots of Hollow Knight. And I think it's interesting that despite how long some of the fights, like Lost Lace, were for me, that I'm not coming out of this exhausted, and at no point do I feel like I was ever hostile towards the game or impatient with it or anything like that. I mean, the only real maybe point of impatience was just looking up the final locations for the few things we needed, craft metal, memory lockets, and so on, and that kind of makes sense just given the scope of the map, right? That there was so much to comb through piece by piece if I wanted to do all of that myself. Descriptivist, do I think I'll replay through the game? Not for some time. It might be fun to do it to try alternate routes. I know that every time I've gone back to Hollow Knight 1, it's felt completely different because there's actually so much flexibility to the routing, and I think there is even more so in this game, simply due to how much it doubles down on one of those signal features of the original Hollow Knight, which is that so many things are gated by skill rather than by items, that there are so many things you can pass through if you just have the guts to do the fight, right? And it is, if anything, far truer of this game than in the original Hollow Knight, simply because movement abilities are so rarely hard gates for any of the content. But it's such a big game that I just don't know when we'll fit in something like a replay. I don't know at some point if I want to mess around with Steel Soul or something, which I never completed with the original game either. I have never been so tidy a player that I can do games of this scope with permadeath. But yeah, it would be fun to mess around with the routing. You know, even after I finished Donkey Kong Bonanza earlier this year, I actually hopped right back in with a bit of a casual file just to try out a couple of different things off stream and take some different paths. And clearly there are some other things I missed as well that we could pick up on a second playthrough, like the friendly duel with Garmon and Zaza that I heard about, which is the one fight that I know I absolutely did miss. Red Knight, you said you saw a video of someone going through Mount Fae without the grapple and getting into Act 2 via Wisp Thicket. Very interesting. I can kind of see how it's doable, actually. I mean, I'm not saying I would do it, but I can kind of see how it's doable. One thing I was doing, even in the Cogwork core section, when we were getting to different parts of the song at the end of Act 2, was the whole time I was thinking, okay, how much of this is actually doable with no grapple and with no double jump? Because grapple, maybe you need to take some of the rings, but a great deal of it felt like it was doable with no double jump. From what I was looking at. I didn't try it, but I was definitely thinking it. And yeah, 06i, the Twisted Bond ending we talked about because it is, I think, clearly the secret achievement that I'm missing. I did hear about that being the case after we had acquired the Witch's Crest. And I was kind of considering that idea as well, that I definitely think I missed some kind of dialogue interaction where I would have tried to enter the abyss with the Twisted Bud as well. There was probably something that we could have run into, kind of like how running into Ava in Weaveness Atla has that special interaction where she defends herself. And yeah, 06i, you said you didn't use double jump. Oh, you mean getting into Act 2 ending? You actually did that before Mount Fae? Yeah, because it looked very doable. I can absolutely see that happening. Anyway, I guess I'm talking about this game so much because I'm reluctant to let go, and it's been really fun to have so much company from people at different levels of knowledge and awareness and completion. And yeah, once again, thank you so much for following along with this journey and catching so many of the big and unforgettable moments. Like all the fights we were finishing with the throwing ring, or for that matter, all the ties that we had where we died at the same time as the boss, and all those other things that were very unique to this playthrough that I'll definitely be remembering this game by. And thank you also throughout for, as usual, respecting that I wanted to do this without external information and without backseating. That always goes without saying, but I appreciate it. Nevertheless, and having a little bit of the backseat come into play for just the final sequence here today to go through set locations, etc., that was something that it worked out quite well, I think, at the conclusion of such a dramatic effort to get where we did. With that said, I think this is a good place to end. We'll have a short stream. I think this is actually my shortest Silksong stream, simply because we did get the boss down in the first hour. I'll certainly be looking over that footage again and just trying to get a sense of how I made it through. And we will have much more content coming. I'll probably slow down the pace a little bit since we've been running this game so intensely over the past month and a half. But we'll put up some plans in Discord. We'll figure out what's going on. There are a lot of things I want to pack into November, December, so we might slacken up a little bit before then. But either way, we have lots of ideas brewing. Kind of like that bubbling flea brew that you see to the left right this moment. And yeah, it's in some sense difficult for me to let go of this because it was such a complete and robust experience. But hey, whenever we want, we have more Flea Juggle waiting for us right here in Fleetopia. And until we choose to come back and do that, whether it's very soon or whether it's much further along, have a wonderful time ahead of you with everything you may be making or playing or watching. I look forward to joining, finally, the opportunity to watch more Silksong in my own right. And we'll find out where to pass you folks next. As always, thank you so much for your company and conversation and lurking for those lurking or catching up late on YouTube. And, as usual, fare thee well.